breakdown.
Yeah.
My name is Eli. This here is Lawrence, and what we're here to do is Lawrence is going to read 10 chapters of Bleach each day, and he's gonna give his thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence, what's your familiarity with Bleach?
Yeah. So of the big three, it's definitely the one I have the least experience with. I mean, Naruto. I grew up reading from since like 2006, 2007. So I've been on that for a while. I was on that for a while. One Piece I recently got into and have caught up on that one, and then for Bleach, uh, I have like a kind of like vivid memory of trying to start it maybe around like 2007 2008 when I was into Naruto. Like I think I got the first volume of it from like a bookstore somewhere or whatever, and like I thought it was like okay, but I just like I don't know, nothing quite grabbed me to the point where it's like I'm gonna commit to this like week to week, and this was like 2006 2007, so I wasn't really like read like searching online for chapters and stuff like that. So if I was going to commit to it, I was either going to like have to commit to like the anime version of it at that time, or I was going to have to like love it enough to where I would like buy the volumes, and I just like wasn't feeling it enough to like to want to like spend money to like continue to like follow it, and I just never picked it up after that.
Yeah, so my relationship itself is that I have read the entire series. I'll say there's a certain point. I don't know. I don't know if it'll mean anything, but during the Grim Jow fight in its final stage, that was when I started, I think, reading the series weekly, and I did that through the rest of the run.
Mm-hmm.
And I this is a series that I never actually reread. There are some other manga that I have reread a few times, but this was one that I never did that for. And I felt that, during quarantine, during all this, it might be a good time to refresh myself with the series, do a reread. And so, yeah, that's what I started doing. I started in mid April. So I'm doing 10 chapters of a day myself.
No.
But right now, I'm still doing it from where I am at in the series. I'm not rereading what Lawrence is reading. I am toward the end of the Fullbring arc for those who are aware of what that is.
No clue.
Yeah. So, Lawrence, my recommendation is, we got some viewers here potentially. Don't read the chat. For those who are aware of the series and have read it before, if they're talking about it in the chat, you'll get some spoilers potentially.
Nice. All right. I'm about, yep, no problem. I will not check that out. Chat's turned off for me.
All right.
All right. So how do you want to start this?
Look, let's just have you start it off by telling us about your thoughts on the premiere, the first chapter of the series.
The first chapter. Yeah, so the first chapter, of course, you meet Rukia, you meet Ichigo, and you meet his family. I thought it was a interesting setup. Like I like how you kind of got a sense of like the relationship dynamics with between Ichigo and his family, and how he's kind of um hardened by the death of his mother, his late mother, and how that has kind of drived him like to the point he's at now. And I think there was like mention about like his hair being different from the typical Japanese boy, and so that was another interesting you know thing to learn about him. uh I thought the way that they kind of like introduced the hollows and and the fact that he can like see spirits, that was done in a fun way as well. uh but yeah, definitely a great introduction into what was going to happen. I think I'm trying to think if like how it like ends with that in that first chapter. I feel like it ends with do you remember how the first chapter ends?
He slays his first hollow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so yeah, so it seemed like they were just trying to give you like like a quick introduction. Like here, there's a shinin. Here's what the Shinigami do. Like this is their purpose, and these are the bad ghosts. These are the good quote unquote good ghosts, and like this is what the purpose of the Shinigami are. So I thought everything that needed to be done was accomplished in that first chapter. It's like pretty, yeah, this pilot, basically the pilot episode. You know.
So, what do you think of the art style for the series?
The art style. I mean, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Like I don't think it's like spectacular or anything so far. I mean, I think like it's a decent. Like if you've seen any Shonen Jump manga, I think you're pretty much like getting like what you typically get. Like not in a bad way, not necessarily like a terrific way. It's early stages as well. So I mean, I thought the way that the hollows were drawn was like interesting. I was like they look like a interesting design in terms of like what the villains are and stuff like that. But in terms of the characters and stuff, like they look cool. They looked fine. Like it wasn't you know mind blowing though. It was all right.
Okay. Well, I will give credit that because this is the premiere of the series, it's not as stylized as it
Hmm.
gets pretty quickly.
Right.
I feel like the best thing the entire series has going for it is the art and the character design. The story for Bleach, as someone who's read it and likes it, is it's not great. It's
Not
not very
great.
good. Um, and I really think that the art and the design are the true high points of the series. I love how stylized it is. It really does feel very different to me from other series. You'll see the joke as it goes along that he doesn't have backgrounds, which is
Hmm.
kind of the truth.
Yeah.
But I feel that this is a really great introduction to it. Sets up the characters. Art definitely still in its early stages.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not expecting to be blown away within like the first 10 chapters of like the art style. Like
Yeah.
if we're talking like television or stuff, like it takes a while to like make a good episode of TV. You're gonna have to like find your stumbling blocks and like figure out like what like works best for you in terms of like a method of like creation. So I'm not expecting like out the box for it to be like eye popping like glorious stuff. So I wasn't disappointed at all with what I got.
Yeah, like I just threw it up on screen, but looking at Ichigo's face here in that panel in the middle, that's definitely not how he gets drawn pretty shortly in the series.
Right, exactly. It's like this is yeah, like this like stuff like this is what I'm saying. Like it's early days. Like I wasn't expecting to be blown away, and I wasn't surprised by that fact. So I think
Yeah.
they did a good enough job of getting like the point across and the story across. And the only time I would really have criticism for the art, like in these like early like nascent stages, is if like I couldn't understand what was going on. If
Hmm.
I can clearly like gather what they're going for, and it's a fine enough job in these early days. Like I'm not gonna really be too harsh of a critic.
Yeah, the fights are yeah, it's hard to tell what's going on most of the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, but I do like a lot of the early stylization, like the scene right here with the narration, just all black,
Hmm.
white text there.
Right.
Rukia exiting and appearing for the first time.
Hmm.
Um, what did you think of the? So you've read the first 7 chapters. You met a lot of these faces. Can you name any of them? Can you name this person right here on the far left? I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor.
No. I'm trying.
Can
Like the
you?
only the only characters that really stand out to me are is that use is like Ichigo,
Hold on.
Rukia, huh?
No, no, no. I'm
Who is
asking
it?
you on the far left here.
Who is it? You say the
It's
name? Is
no,
it like, huh?
it's nobody. That's just a character design that's never
Okay.
used.
All right. Yeah,
Can
I
you
don't know
name
who
Can
that.
you name who the second person here is?
Um, I'm guessing that's going to be uh Inui. Is that Inui?
Inoue, I believe.
Inui? Is that
I
anyway?
think it is. Or Orihime is
Oh, he
her.
Orihime. Is it
It,
Orihime?
Orihime is what we would say her first name is,
Is it
I believe.
Orihime?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that?
Orihime.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Can you name the person to the right of her?
Oh, that's Chad. The
Yeah, so
Chad.
that's Chad's first design. You know, very different from what it ends up being. And
Yeah.
then, so you obviously can't tell who the fourth person is. Can you name the fifth person?
That's Orihime's friend, right? The one I can't think of her name, right?
No, that's actually that's actually Ichigo's friend. That's the Playboy one.
Oh. Oh.
I'd say
Yeah.
out of everybody here, his actually is the design that doesn't change really. His is the most similar to what he debuts
Oh,
as
yeah.
versus what it
Okay.
stays as.
I remember
You,
that character. I mean, I mean, I only met him for
uh,
like 5 seconds, like 2 panels, like when they
yeah,
were pretty much saying like he's into older women. Like that's the only
yeah.
thing I really got from him in these first 10.
As far as Orihime's friend, that's Tatsumaki's on the far right
Gotcha.
cutoff.
Okay.
What's funny here is that there's some characters here who you haven't met yet. You'll meet them soon, and there's
Mhm.
one of them who won't appear for close to 200 chapters. But
Really?
I
Oh,
don't know. I don't know what the original intention for the character design here is. Maybe he just liked the original design and he never got to use the characters intended. But there's a character here who won't show up for quite a long time.
no,
Will be,
interesting.
around 18 to 20-ish days from now before we're talking about who this person is.
Yeah, cool. Cool beans.
Yeah. Uh, what are my questions for you for the rest of? So, another thing to highlight is that the link I sent you to read this does include the actual rips from the novels or
Yeah.
the volumes. So you
Yeah.
do get to have the little uh, poetry each volume, as well as the name of the volume. This isn't, I feel like, a great translation. Like I can go pick up, like in English. Oh no, this is the full English one.
Uh-huh.
So in English, it's Strawberry and the Soul Reapers, but in reality, I believe this is supposed to be called,
Death and Strawberry.
yeah, The Death and the Strawberry, which is
Yeah.
A more accurate translation that I think gets used a little more often.
Right.
And I think it captures more so what the author Taike Kubo is going for, because he has really stylized chapter names and volume names too, and death is something that he used way more than Soul Reaper actually does.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, what's the strawberry in relation to?
His name is Ichigo, and
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
um, I guess his hair is technically also supposed to be strawberry blonde, but you can see even in the anime that's not like an accurate. I guess that's what
Depiction.
you would call it, but yeah, he has orange hair and his name's Ichigo, so that's why it's called Strawberry. And
Gotcha.
so yeah, this each volume will have a little bit of poetry like this. This is just one line, but I think it's still pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that which we cannot see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's any other thoughts on the first chapter?
No, no. I mean, like it was, it got everything that you needed to get, shown to you. I think it did a good job in terms of like, yeah, introducing like what the Shinigami are and what they do, and like their function in the world, and like setting up like who Ichigo is as a person, and and how the world kind of works. Yeah, so I think that it got all the things you want accomplished in a first chapter, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Since you also have the volume, you'll get to see the interstitial pages here. So this is what you're seeing right now, something that I guess will matter like 2 or 3 days from now.
Gotcha.
um, all right, let's talk about chapter 2. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Chapter 2. Let me see. It's what thoughts do I have? Yeah, so this in chapter 2, this is when his family he arrives and sees that his family has like been attacked, like by the hollow or whatever, and he's been and he's been turned into the Shinigami, right? I believe that's what's happening in this
No,
chapter.
chapter 2 is him waking up and going back to school,
Oh, okay, that's
finding
okay. My
finding
bad.
that everybody's still alive.
My bad. Okay, yeah. So that's the one where he's like finds out where everyone's still alive and that their memories have been erased, right? And that like
Yeah,
a car drove through their house is like the excuse that's been like imprinted into their brains, right? That's the
yeah.
um okay. Yeah, so yeah, within this chapter, it was interesting. You got introduced to like the method by which the Shinigami you know, fool are able to fool humans that have these encounters, so that they're not in the news. Like, of course, if like a human actually saw this, it would be everywhere. It would be like in the front page news. It would just be like chaos. So it makes sense, similar to like Men in Black. It's a common trope that's used in and dealing with like supernatural related um entities. X-Files. Like you can go down the line. So
Mm.
I like that. I like that introduction there. Let me see. What else is and this is also the part where where Rukia and him kind of like make that agreement where um he'll take over for her Shinigami duties while she's recovering from him taking more of her power than she expected when they made that like trade-off deal to so that he could save his family due to her being injured. And I think there's like a young boy who's being who's getting attacked by a hollow, and
Mm.
because initially he's like, hell no, like get out of my life. I'm trying to like live a normal like 15-year-old existence. But then she's like, let me show you this. And then he's like about to go save the kid, and then she's like, stop. If you save this child, then um if you save this child, then you have to like commit to doing this full time, because you can't just like pick and choose when you want to like eliminate hollows. Like they all need to be like dealt with.
Yeah,
And he's like, and he pretty much like again is like, I do what I want, but then he eventually is like, well, I kind of owe you for helping save my family, so I will like commit to doing this. So yeah,
yeah.
that was,
It's a nice call to action for the main character.
mhm,
It fills you in on the events pretty shorthand of the prior chapter, but doesn't need to take up too much time. We get to meet some of the friends in everyday life.
yeah,
You get to meet Orihime, Tatsumaki,
mhm,
some of the other people. You get to see some of the humor for the series. He's pretty good at doing the mini sort of faces.
right. And then
And
yeah, and you kind of like see like why he's going to be like the protagonist of this manga, as Ichigo, because he kind of has that like typical like kind of like shonen characteristic of like he wants to like live on his own terms, but he has like some sort of like moral compass that like also keeps him like on the right track as well. So he has like the right amount of like moral like goodness to him, but also like kind of like raw, like uncontrollable, like I wouldn't say anger, but like angst or something, like kind of also driving him as well. So, and I feel like that's kind of like a good mix that you want for like a protagonist for this a kind of like adventure, or like like this style of like manga or shonen manga.
yeah,
Yeah,
go to the next one. We don't have to do too deep into each one, but we can just do a quick summary. So this is chapter 3 is where we really first start getting into a minor story arc of some nature with a head hitting.
yeah,
And this is a really great example of the types of pages that Kubo does for the title pages.
right. Yeah, yeah. Interesting art. Yeah, like I like that. The kind of you know no heart no heartwarming stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I believe in this chapter, this is when you're kind of introduced to like the Orihime's like deal with her with her brother, and Ichigo is starting to train with Rukia, and I believe they're like kind of like doing their training, like where she's like giving him like an explanation of like what being a Shinigami is further, and they encounter her like while in the park, and she's kind of like taken aback because of course she has a crush on Ichigo, and she's like, oh, why is he here with this new transfer student? That was kind of fast. And she's kind of taken aback, but then they like notice that she has like some sort of weird like marking on her leg, and she was just like hit by a car and she's injured. And Rukia is kind of like has like is like reacting to it and like asking further questions, but doesn't really like inform Ichigo on like why she's asking these questions. But Ichigo can also kind of tell like something's off here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, we start meeting more of the friends, learning a little bit more about them, get the training, and we get the beginning of the first multi-chapter conflict here.
Yeah.
Learning that hollows are humans.
First kind of like like learning that hollows are humans, and like kind of getting like the first like mini arc. And I think the chapter kind of ends on like a little bit of a cliffhanger where she's like pretty much like saying she's like going to die if we don't do something like really
Yeah, I
soon
get
about
used
this.
to that. A lot of the chapters, especially early on, just sort of end in an odd place.
Yeah.
Really big fan of cliffhangers.
All right, I could tell.
Then we get why do you eat it?
Why do you eat it? Yeah, so of course this is when the hollow that's containing Orihime's brother starts the attack on Tatsuki and Orihime. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what happens here.
Yeah.
Like they're attacked, and what like I'm trying to think if is there any reason why he's like provoked into attack, or but I think that's revealed later. But I think
Yeah,
because
this is
I think
just
yeah, because I think
this
he's
is
like
just the attack itself, and we get more
yeah,
info about how hollows come to be, what they do.
right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, because at the last second, Ichigo arrives to like stop like what would have been like the final nail in the coffin
Mm-hmm.
attack, because he's like kind of he's angered because he's like not I think he's like initially angered because she doesn't know who he is like like at first glance, like he's like, you don't know my name, and then he like attacks, and then Ichigo's like, nah bitch. All
So then
right,
we have
so
a chapter 5, Blinda Blinda.
mhm.
Um, Fight continues against Orihime's brother, and he reveals his identity to Orihime.
Mhm. Yeah, so this chapter, yeah, like as he said, that's pretty much like like you said, continuation of the attack, and the revelation of like the and of him being her brother's hollow, or the whatever you want to call it. um and yeah, he's angered that Ichigo is like butting in on this moment, and he demands why Ichigo is constantly like getting in his way. And I think that's pretty much how the chapter ends. It's a pretty quick one.
One thing I'll note here is that we get this panel of Ichigo like skidding and stopping on plain air.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on this when it happened?
No, I was yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
something. It just kind of happens, and you don't really get any explanation for a while as to why this is.
yeah. I mean, it seems like he has a very like high aptitude for the Shinigami abilities. Like throughout these first 5 chapters, you get numerous like asides where Rukia is like, he shouldn't know how to do this yet. Like he's a fucking rookie. Like what's up with this? Like it took me years
Mm.
to learn all this crap. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that he has this like natural inclination to doing these tasks. And yeah, it does seem like that's heading somewhere in terms of like the reasoning as to like why.
He's a special person.
Yeah, special man.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So then we get the next chapter, Micro Crack, and this is kind of the end of this first little arc,
Right,
first little
yeah.
multi-chapter story at least.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's he continues this attack for a little bit longer, uh, and Ichigo is like really having no luck on dealing with this guy, but at the last second before like it seems like almost like a final attack, Orihime hugs her brother's Hollow, and he's kind of like awakened a little bit out of his like
Praise.
evil craze,
Yeah.
and he kind of like gives the background as to like their relationship, that he uh that their parents were kind of like shitty parents, and he really like took her when she was 18, because there's a 15-year difference, and they moved out together. Like he took her and moved out and raised her from then on, and and he like was always like her almost like practically her father, and he just felt like he was like being left out of things, because every day it used to be after he died, every day she would pray to him and do all this stuff to like for his memory, but now she started moving more towards talking about her like friends and like her wants for the future and stuff like that, and he was kind of like getting jealous about that, and yeah, then she pretty much like reveals that she was doing that because she felt like she was like almost like being stuck in the past, and she wanted to like share like the good things happening in her life rather than share like just pure sorrow, and that kind of also like led him to be like more accepting as to you know moving on to the next world and just like leaving his evil crazy like nature behind, that the Hollow turned him into.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on this first little multi-chapter fight?
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like pretty much like more like of an introduction as to like what a Hollow is, and like and that they are humans, and like and it was like a very quick thing, like it it just seems like set up for like future arcs or whatever. You're getting the like the basics of like what the Shinigami lifestyle is, and that you'll see some like weird shit like doing this job, and there might be a lot of emotions involved. So yeah, it felt like just very much like an introductory, like this is the lifestyle, and these are the things that happen when you take up the Shinigami role. So like again, and that kind of thing never really is like amazing in terms of like or groundbreaking in terms of like storytelling. So like I wasn't blown away, but it was a good setup. And if there's payoff for that, then I'm fine with it. As long as I feel like more stuff is to happen. Uh, like at the moment, I'd probably say like Rukia is definitely probably the most interesting character, because she's the one like dispensing all the information, and you really want to know like what her background is and like how this all came to be. But it's really early days, so yeah.
What do
I
you think of the final four chapters here, 7, 8, 9, and 10 for your first day of reading?
Should we like go through them first, or just try to
No, I don't
say?
think we need to do chapter by chapter in particular
Yeah,
here.
yeah, I see. Okay, yeah, for the next ones, again, I mean, it seemed like also an introduction of like that spirits can like be incepted into animals, like with the parakeet conundrum and all that stuff going on there. It set up kind of introducing Chad as a like a very strong character who I I'm still like kind of like because I feel like we're like I'm in the middle of whatever this like arc or whatever mini arc or whatever you want to call it is. So I'm wondering like how much spiritual like connection Chad has to the like afterlife and all this like in the ghost world or whatever you want to call it is. So I'm definitely intrigued to see like why he was able to like have this connection with the parakeet over like other compared to like other traditional people. I like the fight in terms of him like not really knowing what's going on and Rukia having to kind of like guide him through the fight as to like the yeah like hit here, like go here, or like throw me into the air like here, and I'll like use my powers and we'll combine your strength with my like spiritual abilities. So I like that element of it. Um but yeah, I think it's too early for me to really like put like a necessarily like a rating or grade on like what's happening here, but yeah, definitely still a sign of like early days, like setting up who the side characters are going to be for this manga, and who and like what kind of what the abilities of the hollows are, like that they can team up, like they're not just like
Mhm.
individuals. They have like thoughts, they can like strategize and stuff like that. So it's definitely interesting, like delve further into like what their capabilities are.
Yeah, and this is the start of volume 2 for you as well. With the how would you rank the poetry so far? We should do a poetry ranking for each volume. So
um
the first one was people fear that which we cannot see, and the second one was people have hope because they cannot see death standing behind them.
no, that's cool. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Like I mean, um it definitely is like I feel like unique in reference to like other other manga. You don't really get like
Mhm.
poetry slam stuff like in between chapters. So I like that, especially like accompanied with like the art and stuff like that. So you know uh all right, I give it like a 8, 7.5 out of 10 so
Well, hold
far.
on. You got to do it as a ranking. What's your which do you prefer, the first or the second volumes?
What's say what's the second volumes one?
People have hope because they cannot see death standing behind them.
What's the first one again?
Uh, let's pull out the volume I have.
People have hope because they can't see destiny behind them.
No,
People
they
fear what
cannot.
they can't see, or something, is the first one.
People have hope because they cannot see death standing behind them.
That's and the first one was like people have.
No, the first one is we fear that which we cannot see.
I mean, I guess the first one, because I think that's probably like the best one so far, because it's a very universal topic and true, pretty much, I'd say, generally speaking. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I prefer the first one as well because it's very stark, and I think that's what a lot of the series excels at, just sort of a starkness.
yeah. So I definitely say first one's the better of the two.
All right. Well, I guess just overall thoughts or anything to round up with for your first 10 chapters, your introduction to it all.
Yeah. Okay. So like in terms of like first 10 chapters, like it was fine. Like it was definitely like very introductory, getting like the basis of like the characters. I like how you're kind of just like just plunged into like the Shinigami world. They got there pretty quickly, and you're getting to see like the Hollow's capabilities and all that. So I like that element of it. Um, like if I'm comparing it to like the other big three, I think the first 10 of Naruto is definitely better, and I think the first 10 of One Piece is probably like maybe slightly better as well, but I think One Piece has like kind of a slow start, and but it ramps up pretty quickly. So I'm definitely like I'm intrigued enough to where I'm like excited to get to the next 10 and see like what's happening. So it didn't turn me off, I would say, but it was kind of just like it seemed very very much like a setup. Like I don't it's just like giving you the base level information so far, I would say.
Yeah. Um, you know, decent initial offering, get some basic setup to the world, as you said, and, excited for day 2 for you as it deepens a little further, get some more characters introduced.
Right, yeah. That I think that's definitely what I'm looking forward to the most. Getting really more of an understanding of what the side characters for this manga are, how they're going to be, and how they interact. Yeah. So yeah, definitely excited to see what's to come.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to be doing this each day. It's going to take little over 2.5 months probably to finish it all out. So if you want to join along, make sure to follow us on Twitch. Same username. It's that you're probably going to be seeing this on YouTube, twitch.com/IMF streams to be notified when we go live and be able to chat along and discuss with us as we go through day by day 10 more chapters.
Oh yeah, it's exciting times. All
All right.
right. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.